So continuing a bit, this was something that I had sent to Tim Pool. Definitely check him out on YouTube, BitChute, and other places as well. Tim Pool, Timcast on Twitter. I said that at the crossroads of absolutism and postmodernism, you'll find Clown World. Everything is a construct. We can adjust reality. We can adjust reality as we see fit. And yet you are absolutely your associations and your group characteristics with no gray area. It's a contradiction. Stack them and confuse people. I did talk about that in another video, that exact line, about everything being a construct. But then I continued on here. Stacking contradictions and limiting information are two ways to maintain mass hysteria. Also, great ways to ensure that disciples of any given modern religion remain locked into their faith. Censor whatever contradicts the narrative. Create negative associations and penalties for leaving. Just like a cult. So contradictions don't actually exist. I talk about this in a tweet that I did called Child World. We have Clown World, then we have my tweet, Child World. And I said that contradictions don't exist, truly exist, when you get down to it. They exist in a sense, because when somebody's talking and they contradict themselves, well, that's a contradiction. But again, sometimes somebody's talking and they didn't contradict themselves, but because of something called missing information, they are perceived as contradicting themselves. So stacking contradictions. So when you add so many confusing and conflicting things and stack them up, it tends to really muddy the waters of understanding of any given issue. People are trying to understand and you're just adding up all this stuff that doesn't make sense to the point where the brain, the average brain, it just starts to shut down. Because you're going, you know, oh, I don't know which way is up, I don't know which way is down. I know something bad is happening or something good, I don't know. You've stacked so many things that I can't even register how many contradictions there might be here. I can't register what's right and what's wrong. And of course, at that point, when somebody starts to get confused by like, well, this doesn't make sense, that's when you limit information. You don't let that missing information come in that eliminates the contradiction. You don't have any opportunity to correct anything because you don't have that information. If you limit the right information, it just keeps people in the dark. And if people are in the dark, they're easily let out by the first light they see. And that first light usually comes in the form of somebody that just wants to control them for some purpose that's probably not to their benefit. But hey, it could be. I'm not going to cast any absolutes right now. Thinking in absolutes is a fool's errand, and that's an important tip for watching my videos. So, and yes, mass hysteria, yes. If you have contradiction after contradiction and you limit information, you can maintain a mass hysteria. Now, some people think that the coronavirus is a mass hysteria. But, you know, I don't think it's very easy to make an argument like that when people are dying. People are dying. People are sick. You know, it's fun, you know, while it might be true that there's some elements of mass hysteria, like media manipulation, I know President Trump has talked about it, and he hasn't done the best job of presenting himself in the media. So there are some ways that, you know, people can get scared and panicked, and they don't know what's what. I think this coronavirus thing has actually been one of the more confusing times, because nobody knows the truth. The experts have been proven to be wrong. Our institutions have proven to be a bit more authoritarian than we thought. You know, again, it's funny because we've been conditioned to accept it. We just put the masks on. I've never worn the mask, by the way. But we just put the masks on, and we follow the code, and we let our jobs go. We let our economies go. We let it all go because the authorities said to. And then we don't know, what treatments work. We have to wait 18 months for a vaccine. And you have experts on all these different sides of all these different debates and arguments. And nobody really, even the smartest, most insightful voices that we listen to, and we should continue listening to, even they don't know what's going to happen next. No one knows. And so this is a perfect environment for mass hysteria to take control of many of us and just give us so much fear that we'll do anything to alleviate it. I don't think people have succumbed too badly, but it is a quick way to just take over people's lives. We've learned that now. We've seen it. I think it's one of the more fascinating parts, actually, about this. Our slide towards authoritarianism. In our constitutional rights being removed because of these orders, the Constitution's suspended. Well, if you can suspend it for a little while, how long can you suspend it for? Is there a time limit on that? And then it becomes, well, will authority figures, will police officers, and all these people, will they just conform to the system like a machine? Will they just do what they're told, even though they know in their hearts that the Constitution, the guidepost, the moral law, the law of the land, the guidepost for America is being undermined? Will people stand by and allow it? Will they facilitate it? We're finding that out now. There's so much information, so much new knowledge that's being discovered, because this just hasn't happened before. Not like this. So stacking contradictions and limiting information are also great ways to ensure that disciples of any given modern religion remain locked into their faith. Well, moral panic is a modern religion, of course, and outrage culture its sister. And this tends to happen because you are limiting information. People don't have the full context usually. Usually, if you're seeing something in the news, if we are seeing something in the news, there's typically almost always a bit of bias. There's always a bit of bias. Now, it's not always for the same thing, for the same side of anything. It's for different things. But there's always a bit of an angle, whether it's intentional or unintentional. There is a bias. And what you see a lot is that some people just don't like certain things that are new. They might have a conflict of interest, perhaps, but sometimes we just make these arbitrary, irrational, emotional decisions. And people were talking about this, and I've seen a lot about this, and I actually posted a quote by, I'll say his name wrong, and my friend Fate will get mad at me, but Bastiat was talking about how can we trust these institutional figures when they're just people too? And I'm like, yeah, institutions are people. They are just people. And so they have the same irrational emotional responses that we, the common folk do. They're just operating in the same way. Now, yeah, they might have done certain things a little bit differently to achieve where they got to in society and in culture, but at the end of the day, they are just as emotional, and they're just creatures seeking survivalism like us. Maybe intellectual survivalism, emotional, physical survival. Maybe they have a lifestyle, psychological survival. They have to maintain what they had, otherwise their mind will break. I don't know. There's 7 billion people in this world. I'm sure there's some variance there. So these faith, it's easier when you're in a modern religion, a belief system, postmodern belief system. Limiting information involves the modern religion of censorship. You just censor whatever contradicts the narrative. So we're seeing, of course, with YouTube, I'm not sure if I can say certain words on here. I said a few words in the outset in the Twitter story that may have gotten this video already banned. So you might not see this video right now on this channel on YouTube, but you can check it out on BitChute because they don't censor. They allow free speech to thrive. So you'd censor whatever contradicts the narrative to control people. If they don't know there's other options, they're locked into that specific path. And I've talked about that recently as well. And then they create the negative associations. So you can't associate with this person, group, idea, thing, whatever it might be. You can't associate with it because it's a negative association. We only accept the positive associations, not the negative ones. And you may have a penalty for leaving. We might smear you. We might do a whole lot of things. We might make you lose your job. We might attack your family in some way. We might send them hate mail or talk about things on social media. We might create stories that you have to later, fight in court. Defamation, libel, and slander. In the internet era, oh, they have changed nature, boy. They have changed nature. Because it's really, with the world of social media, like, how can you even, I have a new video out, Peace and Truth, Free Speech is a Human Right, and I talk about this. It's, of course, arbitrary and subjective and so forth, what should be libel, slander, defamation, but it's become hard to litigate this stuff because people are constantly saying, like, they're coming up with random awful things about each other online, and how do you control for that? How do you control that? I don't know. So I figured I'd touch on that as we were talking about the postmodernism and the way we are convinced of a reality that may or may not be.